and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Operation Cathedral. I'm your host, the Keeper of Lore and Fate, Jojo1025, and I welcome every single one of you into this very interesting new flavor of insanity that I am bringing to this channel. But no, for real, welcome everybody. For anybody who has arrived, thank you for everyone who is hosting the channel. But yeah, this is Operation Cathedral. This is the much anticipated Call of Cthulhu campaign based on the lore of Cultist Simulator. And we're doing this part of our Extra Life charity drive. You will notice some very, very new faces because these are not people that we've streamed here with before. But I mean, there's going to be a couple voices you may recognize. But I welcome my cast of investigators here to the insanity. Why don't we go ahead and start with just people introductions? The introduction of our performers. So starting with Mr. Jebel up there in the upper left. So how are you doing, Jebel?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you very much for asking. Yeah, how are you doing today?
Better. It's been an interesting week. So glad that you could make it from the land of the UKs.
Of course.
So it's particularly late for you, but we're so happy to have you along for this ride. So
thank you very much.
And then we have Quirky Kitty up there in the upper right-hand corner. How have you been?
Oh, I've been good until today's antics. Oh boy.
Yeah, we had a couple of little technical gremlins. Nothing too insane yet.
Oh yeah.
So, but thank you again for making it out. So
I am excited to try this. My first time Call of Cthulhu. So.
Yep. Then we have Safe. So Safe. I always trip over it.
You're not the only one. It's okay.
So, and how are you today?
I am conscious.
That's all we can ask, really.
I can't promise much more than that.
So, and then last but very much not least, my significant other and the wonderful artist who actually did our overlay art for this campaign, TK.
Hi.
So how's it going here?
I'm here. I'm alive. I do stuff.
Can't wait to see the art.
Yep.
Hey, if you go to the stream, it's there. It's the background right now. I did some funky stuff. I can post a link for you guys, though, if you want.
And already, Jebel's getting compliments on his magnificent beard.
You're dead!
So, but yeah, so a couple things. So once again, this is Call of Cthulhu, which is definitely a departure from what I normally do on this channel, which is at this point mostly D&D content. This is actually, I think, everyone's first foray into Call of Cthulhu as a system. So we are going to be we're going to, of course, probably trip and stumble here and there, but
oh yeah,
we will be able to tell the story that I have pieced together, and we'll see how our investigators put the pieces together, whether or not they can discover the secrets I have scattered about for them. So, but this is definitely going to be taking a significantly darker tone than what I am normally used to bringing. I do issue this warning now to any of my viewers and anyone who may be viewing this upon YouTube later on, because this will be going on to YouTube, and if you want to check out the YouTube channels down below, that we were going to cover probably some really dark stuff here. Because, you know, you don't always need literal monsters to depict horror. So, and there's plenty of other horrifying situations that may not be for the faint of heart. So, if you are uncomfortable with the thought of death, destruction, abuse, and other such topics, and in fact, much darker topics, or profane language, I suggest that you turn back now. There is no shame in fleeing from the dark.
I mean, shit, boy, you might as well get the fuck out now.
Well,
I'm afraid of the dark.
Java, you might want to look behind you then.
it's
the dark!
Dark as a nut. Nope, I'm not starting that.
That's been stuck in my head all goddamn day.
That's alright.
Okay, but on a more lighter note, this is part of our Extra Life charity drive. So, Extra Life is a charity that relies on creators and streamers like myself and my wonderful cast here to raise money for sick kids in hospital. Each donation goes into helping pay for things such as accommodation, treatment, but most importantly, the lion's share goes to helping pay for entertainment for kids in hospital who cannot leave the hospital. And I cannot stress how important that is, that kids have some form of normalcy, some way of getting their mind off the darkness in their lives. So it really does help if even we donate enough to just even so much as get them a little sketchbook or something, or even getting to the higher end things of like bringing in video game consoles and video game setups for them to play while they're receiving treatment and distracting them from otherwise painful procedures. So it is a wonderful cause. I'm happy to be here doing it again for the third year now. There is a widget down in the lower left of the Twitch page, and in YouTube land, you can check the description down below for the link to the donation page, and every cent helps. So it really does. So our goal this year is to reach $1,500 by the month of December. I have a very distinct feeling that we can make that, especially considering that half of these crazy people here helped us reach $1,000 through the Pirates of Sable Bay stream last year. Which, in case you guys haven't put us together there, Jebel was our crazy captain and Scythe was one of our wonderful sailors that came in for a couple shifts. So, but with that, though, I think we're ready to get started. Unless there's any statements that any of my cast members wish to make to the interwebs.
I have a quick word of advice. Never be mean to someone who has access to your toothbrush.
That's very true. That's very true.
Normal is overrated, but
yes.
giving a bit of normalcy to some kids is great.
One of the reasons why I'm glad I live alone.
But that's just it. You're never alone.
Not true.
Not even right now. Am I just gonna be forced to crash on your couch tonight because I'm so scared?
Yeah.
Spooked.
We'll see how far we get down the pipeline today. We'll see how far we get down the story here.
I only have one statement I would like to make. and that is just the general mood of this year so far, and that is fuck.
Yeah.
That's what I said tonight, very loud in my bedroom.
Yeah. So,
Oh yes.
You got it working,
Yes.
hun. It's okay.
yeah. All right. Well, with that then, I welcome everyone and all to our time and setting for this campaign. The date is April 11th, 1924. In our view here, and my apologies, but this is going to be the other thing I should state here is that this is mostly going to be a game centered in the theater of the mind. So those of you tuning in from home, feel free to put us in the background, maybe go make yourself a cup of tea as we go on our merry adventure. But the date is once again, the date is April 11th, 1924. And our view reveals the lights and sounds of Washington, D.C. in the United States of America. It is a time of great economic growth and upheaval. Prohibition is still in full swing as the post-Great War America is enjoying the riches provided by their new industrial base. However, this is not the world that we are all familiar with, despite its similarities. While our history is shared, there is in fact a secret history, one for us to unlock. The history of the world unseen, and practitioners of the invisible arts, is arguably a more storied, but never told history, except that in hushed whispers. We now bring our attention to a rather unremarkable building. A simple red brick building at the corner of two streets. Its windows small and its roof made of brown tile. And the only marking upon the front is that reads, "The Office of the Bureau of Suppression." So, we enter this building, and the upper floors are relatively what you would expect at any bureaucratic establishment, with clerks bent over desks, people running to and fro, the clack and clack of typewriters in the air. But our view goes deeper as we go down a set of steps to the basement, and then below the basement to the sub-basement. We are discovering that this building is in fact very buried very deep into the ground, with several rooms locked and various well-dressed persons wandering the halls, each with their own badge. The one showing the mark of the Bureau of Suppression, the all-seeing eye upon their breast. And we take a quick look into one of the rooms. It's an interrogation room, where we find Miss Riley Thompson sitting alone and stewing over the ultimatum she has just been given. Why don't you introduce your character to us?
All right. So, Miss Riley Thompson, she is rather nice to look at. She has short, dirty blonde hair, brown eyes. They look normal, but they almost have this hardness to them that you would not expect of a woman of her age. She's definitely middle aged, but she doesn't quite look it. She's wearing very nice clothes, and she is very, very unhappy.
Indeed. So, Miss Thompson, you unfortunately had a run-in with the Suppression Bureau. at one of your establishments as your. This is going to turn into another cat stream. I can already tell it. It's harder for me to keep a straight face with a cat batting at your microphone. It's so adorable. I'm going to die.
Penny
Every
is a
time.
superhero.
Every time that I'm on mic, he has to say hi. I am so sorry.
He's so good.
That's okay. I was honestly thinking about bringing Toby over here real quick so everybody could see her.
Say goodbye
Oh.
to attention. Just like Titan.
Right now, she is sleeping on the computer chair.
So sorry.
You're fine. But, but Miss Riley Thompson, there is as you are kind of mulling over your situation and the events that has brought you to this deep, dark place, you hear a tapping at the door before the door opens without any waiting for any sort of response. And there, standing in the doorway, dressed in a very nice suit, is a rather thin, balding man with a pair of rounded spectacles upon his nose. And behind him, a rather tall, soldier-looking type, also fairly well dressed. So the man approaches, but the burly one stays out in the hall. Miss Thompson, have you made a decision as to our ultimatum?
You act like I had a choice.
Oh, there's always a choice. There's choices as far as the eye can see, but in reality, there's better choices. But will you work with us?
Yes, I will work with you.
Excellent. So, Agent Crow, will you please step into the room, please?
Certainly.
So, Midnight Crow, why don't you introduce us to that character?
Well, my name is, you know me as the Midnight Crow. I can't really give my full name away, otherwise that'd be breach of contract. I'm quite buff, quite burly, quite militant type. I've got the handlebar mustache, green eyes, and a fairly decent head of hair.
So, Miss Thompson, this is Midnight Crow. He will be your watcher while you're under our employ. So, you would do well to heed his advice as you undergo your training. For now, why don't you get more acquainted with Miss Thompson? I have 2 more individuals I must speak with. So, I guess I never introduced myself, have I? I am Red Stag, and I will be your handler, let's just say, for the time being. So, but for now, any questions you have, you may think on them, and I will come back and answer them in time. But for now, please, both of you, please get acquainted. Crow, please do well to not upset our guest.
I can't guarantee anything.
And with that, the thin man, now known as Red Stag, leaves the room, and the door closes leaving Midnight Crow and Riley Thompson in the same room.
Oh, well then. Seems you got yourself in a bit of a sticky situation, haven't you?
She just rolls her eyes.
So, I'm gonna plop down. I'm gonna plop down in the seat. I walk across from her. I'm gonna just kind of look at her and say, "So, what got you into all this mess, then?"
Why, are you a Shylock?
I'm sorry?
What, you trying to get money from me or something?
I'm just curious. I'm a curious individual.
Your curiosity will get yourself killed.
Almost has.
I guarantee you. Push too far and it will.
Alright?
I am here to do the job. Once the job is done, I will be done. That is all.
Sounds fair enough to me. Straight and to the point. You'd make a good soldier.
I fought in wars you've never seen.
You'd be surprised.
So would you.
Now peace.
The fact that she asked a question and then not getting a response is just like, ooh. So, well, while that standoff continues, our camera shall shift back to Red Stag. So, for our audience, we get a few bits of information to pop up on the screen. Red Stag has been an aged part of the Bureau of Suppression, but he is not from the United States. No, you see, the Bureau of Suppression only recently expanded to the United States in an effort to contend with forces unseen as the Americas became more developed. More of the undesirables of the unseen world saw fit to flee to the Americas, the United States in particular. And so the Bureau of Suppression, which is a worldwide organization, did expand out to the United States. And Red Stag was amongst some of the first for the fresh establishment. He is the director of training and operations in the capital. And we watch as he approaches another door and knocks upon it, where Hunter Wallace is residing in a rather cramped dorm room. Tap, tap, tap.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I can open the door. You keep it locked, so, you know.
So the door opens and Red Stag enters. And the door just quietly clicks shut behind him. Mr. Wallace, I take it you are well?
I mean, I'm here.
You haven't had any sudden changes? No, nothing odd of late, strange dreams?
I mean, nothing out of the normal. Just the usual weird bullshit. But other than that, I'm kind of just trapped in a cell in a place that I don't understand, and, that makes people anxious. So, yeah. Aside from just the sheer, totally unfathomable anxiety I experience on a constant day-to-day basis. It's great. It's great.
But you understand that we do this for your protection, yes?
Yeah, sure.
So Red Stag kind of adjusts his glasses and looks at you. And he's like, Mr. Wallace, I have a proposition for you. One that I feel like may apply very well to your skills. So, you see, it's just people in chat. So like, I'm pretty sure Hunter Wallace is not even a little okay.
You don't know that. You're not there.
So, but I am putting together a team, one that requires a broad variety of skills. So, one that's a man of your knowledge and eccentricities would do very well at. The only stipulation that we give is that whatever you do, you will need to stay out of the archives.
I mean, does it mean I get to leave? Like, not be in here all the time?
You will have a watcher, but you will be able to move relatively freely.
So I don't have to be in a cramped, like, 3x3 room for the rest of my fucking life?
That's never been our intent.
Well, I mean, you know, when you don't see the sun for weeks on end, you start to get a little twitchy, so, you know.
It's been 3 days.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
And you were asleep up until this morning.
Yeah, 3 weeks. What's the difference?
Mr. Wallace, do you recall the date?
Time has no meaning. I haven't known the date since like 3 months ago. I don't keep track anymore.
So, do you remember everything that was happening?
Oh yes, I absolutely remember what happened. I don't really want to talk about it.
Very well. Why don't you come with me, and we will collect your other team member and then go meet the other two.
Cool. I'm swell. Sounds like a plan. Okay.
Just
all right.
be sure to keep your hands to yourself. Yes.
I mean, you know, I'll take things. What do you think I am, a thief? I don't take shit. Give it back. Calm down.
So, Red Stag just quirks a kind of eyebrow, just a slight amused eyebrow, before he opens the door behind him, and he gestures for you to go proceed out to the hall.
Oh, I'm bolted out before he is even gestured.
So,
Run him over.
this way, Mr. Wallace. And we watch as the pair proceed down to another room, couple doors down from where Mr. Wallace has been accommodated. And Miss Zimmerman, Dr. Zimmerman, you hear a tapping at your door.
Come in, please. I would like nothing more but to discuss things.
The door opens, and there is Red Stag, which, at this point, this is probably the first time that you have met Mr. Red Stag. So it's like, Dr. Zimmerman, pleasure to meet your acquaintance.
And yours, who am I speaking with exactly? What your name?
Red
I
Stag.
put out a hand to introduce myself.
Red Stag. My pleasure. So, then my associate, which did Hunter enter the room with with Red Stag?
I would say he's hanging out. Push to talk. If I can speak English, yes. Hi. He's hanging out in the hallway. He's just poking his head in the room, being that guy. Like, God, why are you here? Sort of dude. Just poking his head in, kind of looking around, judging the room silently.
So, my associate, Mr. Wallace. So, please pay him little mind for the time being. You two will have plenty of time to acquaint yourselves. So, but
Do I recognize him?
you do not. So this is the first time you have met this man.
All right.
Wave.
She waves back. She's got like the biggest hair you've ever seen, really, really long, even though it's up.
So,
Big red pigtails, crazy, bright green, sort of fancy, but not really out there, you know? She's very, very eccentric, is what you guys see.
yeah. So, Miss Zimmerman, well, I do apologize for not getting to you sooner. I hope that your rapid accommodations today have not been too dissatisfactory. You see, there has been a rather complex situation that unfortunately we find you involved in regarding
Really?
regarding your last trip for academic study.
Of course.
So I will go more into detail, but however, I do need to say that we will require your assistance. The Bureau requires your assistance. And, well, we would hope that you would be cooperative in providing your expertise.
Well, how could I say no to the Bureau? I mean, you sound federal, but I've never heard of you. Then
I mean,
again,
you can say no, but saying no ends up with you in a very small room for 3 days.
exactly.
3 weeks, 3 days time.
So,
But then again, the government is full of, what do they call it, alphabet soup organizations?
well, we are not alphabet soup. We are not neither the FBI or the CIA or the other odd or enforcement agencies that have been created. So you may consider us maybe an upgrade upon the Secret Service. It's just that we look to keep certain things very secret. We have a very storied, very long history. But I will go into more detail with that. For now, if you wish to join me, we will go meet the rest of your team.
All right. I mean, really, how can I say no to the Secret Service? There's just a big grin on her face.
So, and with that, the trio start their way up the hall, and we zoom back in at the room with this stare off between Miss Thompson and Agent Crow.
Riley's just studying her nails at this point, trying to see if they're long enough.
I've got nothing to say. I'm just kind of just making sure she's not trying to do anything.
Does the standoff just keep going until the
Yeah.
party arrives?
Well,
I like to think so.
I would like to study him and see like what weapons he has, like what he's packing, all that stuff.
What am I packing? That's a very personal question.
Oh.
I say that for the people who like take me to dinner first. Jeez. Oh, the nerve of you Americans.
I'm not American.
Bold of you to assume I'm from this country.
But if you would like to see if he's packing something, I will need a spot hidden roll.
Hidden.
Let's roll.
And is it just a regular difficulty?
This will be a regular difficulty.
All right, let's see if this works.
You attain a regular success. Let me check the overlay to make sure that whole thing is showing. Okay, I need to trim that. Pardon me as I just trim that just a little bit better for the glory of the audience.
I love that design. It's awesome.
So, but
It's absolutely
you can-
stupendous.
But yeah, so you look him over, and then Crow, are you packing any weapons on your person at this time?
At this current moment, I don't believe I am. Let me have a little look. Let me check my positions.
Would you have gone to this meeting of your future team armed, or would you forgo armaments, considering that you are in pretty much your home turf?
Foregone armaments, I think, considering I'm in my home turf. I'd like to think that nobody would try to attack me whilst surrounded by other militant agents. I hope. Keyword there is I hope.
So,
Fair.
but yeah, so Miss Thompson, you do not see any weapons upon this person. You do note that he is of fairly sizable stature, and definitely carries himself like he is, well, not the same kind of thugs that you are used to. So,
Okay.
but does this standoff continue until the rest of the party arrives?
I'm going to look her up and down, see if she's got anything on her, maybe.
The standoff will continue until
Spot hidden.
morale improves.
Until morale improves. Rinse and repeat. Alright, so spot hidden, spot hidden, spot hidden, spot hidden. Where am I looking? Where am I doing? Where am I going? How do I...
And this will be
Okay.
at standard difficulty.
Okie dokie. How do I roll this?
So if you go to your sheet, well, my sheet is not locked at all here. But yeah, if you go to your sheet here, highlight, you can hover your mouse over the skill you wish to roll. In this case, it would be spot hidden, and then you should be able to click it, and then it should query whether or not you have advantage, disadvantage, or standard.
Okay.
Let me make sure I'm not.
Oh no, sorry. It might be because I was in edit mode.
Oh, am I seeing this?
Oh, there we go.
There we go. So a very hard success. So for the folks at home and for my merry band of players here, a quick explanation is in order. You see, we are rolling D100s. D100 is the name of the game. D100 determines your fate. So your skills, they grow and grow and grow until they hit a maximum value of 90. And when you are checking to see if your skill is successful, you roll a D100 in an effort to roll below your skill. And then depending on how low you roll will determine your success level, whether it be a regular success, a hard success, or an overwhelming success. A roll of 1 shall always be considered a critical. Just like a roll of 99 will always be considered a fumble.
We don't like those.
So, but in this case, Crow has rolled a very hard success. So, not quite too overwhelming success, but Miss Thompson,
Yes.
was there any holdout weapons that maybe the Bureau didn't pick up when they patted you down upon your accommodation?
There may or may not be a shiv in my bra that they somehow missed.
Well, you don't simply just, feel up a lady. It's rude.
That's not how we do it back.
Cavity search either, I presume.
Exactly. I can't go around and just.
I mean, 'tis a different time.
It is an entirely different bureau as well.
Women aren't capable of hurting people. That's something they did in the 20s.
Exactly.
Why would a woman ever need a shiv? Oh. That is sarcasm, people.
But,
Fucking.
but Agent Crow, your well-studied eye does pick out what appears to be some sort of shiv and or some sort of stabbing weapon that may be tucked in her bosom. So however, you yourself don't feel horribly intimidated by Miss Thompson. In your time, you've definitely seen more aggressive things. So, but besides the shiv, you don't spot anything immediately lethal to yourself.
I'm just gonna kind of gesture over to her and say, if you pull that thing out, I'm going to have to disarm you.
Then I might suggest that you watch where you're looking.
I was expecting that response, and to that I say, fair play.
It's at this moment, a brief tap tap on the door, and then the door opens, revealing Red Stag and his two companions, as they file into the room.
Oh no, I don't. I'm in the hallway.
Mr. Wallace, I ask that you please enter the room.
Is this room bigger than the cell I was in?
Yes, it is. So
I'd
it's
be
not
grudgingly-
like a whole lot bigger, but it's definitely a little bit more roomy because there's not like a wardrobe or anything else in there. It's like just the table and chairs.
I very begrudgingly make my way into the room, but I stand right by the door.
It's like a couple square inches.
Just enough to where the door can shut behind me, but only just.
So, Red Stag does close the door after everybody does enter the room. So, and then we watch as Red Stag then taps the door twice, and we do hear a bolt from the outside shut. So, and in Crow, this is not something surprising to you. This is to you. This is very
Standard day at the office.
blasé faire. So, please, everybody, do take a seat. We have much to discuss. And introductions are in order. Mr. Wallace, please take a seat.
There's a solid 5-second pause where he does not move. before, again, slowly and begrudgingly, he takes the seat as close to the door as he possibly can. By the way, we never actually described what he looks like.
Correct. I actually just realized that too. My bad.
But you know what he looks like.
I
just
know what he
by
looks
that
like,
distinct.
but
Oh no,
why
I
don't you
don't
go-
mean you specifically. I mean you in general. You know what he looks
You know what he looks like. He's got those big glasses.
like. Exactly.
But why don't you describe Wallace's outward appearance?
Well, first, you're not sure if he has dark skin or if he just hasn't bathed in a couple of weeks. He's very dirty, and it's odd. There's like soot on certain parts of him. Parts of his clothes seemed a little bit more burnt than they have any right to be. And his clothes are wow, really now, really. Are you interrupting me? I'm talking here, cat. Hush. Anyway, his clothes are not in good shape. It seems like he's had these for a long time and just hasn't bothered with their upkeep. He's average height, like 5'6" for a dude. Has longer, slightly wavy, mousy blonde hair, which is pulled back into a low ponytail. Circular glasses, one of which has a crack just going slightly up the side. Light gray button up, and a black tie that's kind of like haphazardly tied. Like there was an attempt here, but it wasn't a good, strong attempt at all. Like you don't really know if this man actually knows how to tie a tie, or if he ever actually knows what a tie even is. And as he sits down in the chair, he lifts his feet up like he's going to, like cross one leg over the other, and then decides better on it. And with that, you can see that those shoes need to, they belong in the trash. Those are some very saintly, holy shoes.
I wouldn't call them shoes, they call them flip-flops, but
Basically at this point.
More like
I'm not
Crocs.
really sure how they're holding together at this point.
I just imagine just the entire shoe part of a shoe and not the sole. The sole is gone.
Basically. There's just like a strap right underneath like the arch of his foot, kind of.
That's all he needs. That's fine.
1920s Crocs.
Yes. 1920s Crocs. It's spats, but it's just the spats. No shoes. DIY Crocs.
Jesus.
He's very twitchy. He's very twitchy.
Well, this is a genius.
He knows so much.
All right.
Riley is in like a pantsuit, so she leans back in the chair and puts both of her feet crossed on the table and is just watching.
Well, now that we are all together, so as I have stated to everyone before, I am Red Stag, and I will be your handler here as you all embark upon this job for the Bureau of Suppression. So, I assume that none of you, actually, other than Agent Crow, is aware of what we actually do here. So, allow me to illuminate. We of the Suppression Bureau are not merely a federal agency. You see, we are an international agency, an international group very vested in the interest of humanity as a whole. And enforcement of very important policies that need to be extended worldwide. This particular Suppression Bureau branch is very young, as the Bureau in itself has not seen fit to extend a official branch here to America until roughly the Great War. So, and well, with the Great War came new information. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the business of the suppression of occult and obscene lore. Those who would work in the shadows to do harm to the rest of humanity. Those who would seek power from dark places in the world for their own gain at the expense of their fellow man. So, we are the ones who watch, and we stand between the rest of the civilized world and that of the world unseen.
World unseen. Cool.
And you all are brought together here for various different circumstances, but everyone in this room has had a brush with the world unseen, whether you may have known it or not. But the Bureau of Suppression is charged with ensuring that the malcontents of the world stay in shadow, stay as stories, stay as the things that bump in the night that we tell our children, but every adult thing believes are not real. Is everybody with me so far?
Yeah.
I want whatever you're smoking.
I mean, you know, you know, Sims. You already know I'm. So, yeah.
Well, whether you believe or not, we are all brought to here together. And, well, as director of capital operations, it is my job to bring together teams of exceptional individuals in order to assist our mission. And, well, unfortunately, our current mission is rather tenuous. As I've mentioned, the Bureau here in America is very fledgling. I actually originated my training, as well as Miss Agent Crow's training has originated from the London Bureau. And we are here on permanent loan to get this branch set up fully. And, well, recently we just became a little bit more up to speed as to certain information. You see, there has been a very large spike in that cat is just so adorable.
I'm
There
sorry.
Aren't
really
all
has been
cats.
shit where the cats are just taking over the world, you know. Remember that movie from like 2002, Cats versus Dogs? It's that all over again.
Yeah.
But let's see. And recent investigations have revealed that the situation here in America is far worse than anyone could have anticipated. You see, for as long as there's been colonies here from the homeland, apparently those of the world unseen have been using America as a refuge, a self-imposed exile, if you may. to escape the long, long reach of the law. And unfortunately, this means that we have quite a bit of work to do. And, well, unfortunately, Miss Zimmerman, you did find yourself caught up, and that cat is practically disappearing into the chair. Because he's so fluffy.
There we go.
Cat
That is the
takeover.
fluffiest cat I ever did see.
This is Toby, and she's getting squished. So There we go.
Oh no, Toby, don't squish the Colby. I would die for that cat.
I think everybody would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Toby-Tobins.
But the reason why this particular group has been brought together is because you all possess very important skills. Skills that will aid us in a very, very important investigation. So, Miss Thompson, your profession gives you an edge that we definitely require for this, as does Mr. Wallace's expertise in machines and linguistics, and Miss Dr. Zimmerman's extensive lore and actually first-hand experience. Because out of everyone here, Miss Zimmerman is actually seen what we are looking for. So this is the point where I have the unfortunate news, Miss Dr. Zimmerman, to say that your colleague, Dr. von Braun, has unfortunately been labeled as a malcontent.
What exactly does that mean? What did he do?
I mean, that sucks. That's real shitty. You know, terrible things happen to good people all the time. Terrible things happen to any people all the time. So, you know, shit happens.
You see, Dr.
I just saw Kitty.
Yep. You see, Dr. Zimmerman, Mr. von Braun took you afield, and your last academic mission, you got to study various artifacts, correct?
Yes, that's what I do.
So, well, it seems like the artifacts that you were studying had been illicitly acquired, and unfortunately, not an insignificant number of them are of interest of the Bureau. They were actually kept by the Middle Eastern branch in trust, and, well, under the guise of transporting goods to America for further study, allowed them to smuggle various artifacts to the United States. One of which is one of great concern to us all, and what you all will be teaming up to find, secure, and bring the ones who possess it to justice. So at this point, we watch him reach into his suit pocket and pulls out a rather nicely folded brochure, almost. And it's, upon further inspection, you guys realize that it's actually several sketches. Yes, this cat is going bonkers, because the cat is now
He's on the
behind a
tree.
gate in the cat tray.
Oh.
That's as close as anybody will ever be able to get to her.
Kitty!
But-
Unlike mine.
But so,
Toby used to try and sit behind the chair. Right back here. She's just too big.
Plastic Penny, no.
But
Anyway, back on topic.
But the brochure folds out into several sketches of what Dr. Zimmerman will definitely recognize as something that she got to study, well, on her last academic mission, but to everybody else looks like a very... It seems to be a scepter, notably an Egyptian scepter, the kind that normally would be held by pharaohs. So, Crow, I need you to roll me an occult real quick.
An occult.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
And Wallace, go ahead and also roll an occult at advantage.
Maybe.
So you highlight it and then you roll back up to the dice roller.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay. That is a failure from Agent Crow. Was
How
that
do you
at
get
advantage?
on this?
You do with the difficulty.
It says regular, hard, or extreme.
Okay, just re-roll it again.
Okay.
It says click roll bonus penalty die on the thing itself.
Yeah, do you just roll it again?
Just roll it again for this case.
Oh, so close. But no.
So, Crow, this is also your first briefing for this particular mission. In which artifact recovery, for a particular job referring to artifact recovery, generally is kind of like a milk run, so to speak. However, normally if it's an artifact recovery, it's for multiple artifacts. The thing that sticks out to you, he's talking specifically about a singular artifact, which kind of raises some questions for you and tells you that might be a bigger deal than you might have been anticipating. So Wallace, this thing looks somewhat familiar. You can't quite put your finger on it, and before the thought comes to you, it just wisps away like smoke. So
That's a nice looking cane.
It's fancy.
That is no cane.
You know.
this is what we refer to as the Red Scepter. So it is a very, very, very dangerous artifact, especially in the hands of those who would use it for their own gain. You see, this artifact has a very storied history, one from very deep history in that of the Nile. I believe it was pre-dynastic, if I am correct, Dr. Zimmerman?
Yes, that's correct.
You see, there are stories of this particular artifact that was buried in a long forgotten tomb, and the pharaoh that it belonged to, who would tap mere mortals upon the head with it and send them into a state of euphoria. The kind of euphoria
Yes.
that you would die for.
That's just a myth. It's not true.
I mean,
It
just sounds
couldn't
like
be
a
true,
cave.
is it?
It is not inaccurate. As I have mentioned before, the purpose of the Bureau of Suppression is to prevent the actual stories of the mysterious and the unseen from becoming common knowledge. So, and because with how humanity is, most humans cannot be trusted with such power, with such knowledge. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And this cane, as you so put it, Miss Riley, is one that allows for an individual to wield absolute power over unsuspecting individuals. When used with intent, it will put them in a state of euphoria, much like drugs or alcohol. Except this is a far more addictive, even more addictive than that of opium.
I mean, have you seen cocaine, morphine? That shit's addictive as hell.
Depends
Have
on
you,
the
like,
person
seen
that you're
people?
talking to.
Exactly. Different people respond differently to different things. Some people really like cocaine. Some people really like opium. Some people really like morphine. You know, it's just
But what you're saying is this has the potential to send someone into psychosis.
everything has the potential to send someone into psychosis. Have you seen people?
I've seen you, and if that's anything to judge people by,
I mean,
oh boy.
you surely shouldn't judge a book by its cover, you know.
I-
Sometimes you read things that you shouldn't, and then you end up in a small room and terrible things happen, you know. It's just
So at that point, I would judge a book by its cover, actually.
No, it's not the book's fault that you were an idiot. The book's done nothing wrong.
You have a fair point. I will agree with you there. You have a fair point.
Exactly.
But, staying back to the topic. Yes, the Red Scepter has the power to put someone in psychosis, but more noticeably, those touched by the scepter will do anything to relive the euphoria which the cane can provide. The scepter itself is very much like a drug, in which the individual will come back for more and more, carrying out the will of whoever has the scepter, just so that way they can feel that euphoria again. And in doing so, every time they are tapped yet again, they lose what memory of happened prior under the influence of the Red Scepter, making it a tool of great evil, with the power to enslave those unknowing into the thrall of tyrants, so of utter despots. And Mrs. Zimmerman, I'm pretty sure you recall how that particular story ends. The kingdom fell apart as the pharaoh passed and was buried. And without the
Yes.
king and without the Red Scepter, there was no one left to do their bidding, and they all went insane, pursuing that euphoria. So ends another story of a kingdom.
Would I have known about the memory loss?
The memory loss would be new knowledge to you. So
I figured.
you definitely would have known from your studies that it would have been would have caused the euphoria and be mildly addictive, but this is on a new level that you weren't aware of before.
She is growing more and more concerned as Red Stag speaks. He's like, oh, wow, I have no idea.
So, bring us to current days. The scepter was last seen. So the scepter was last seen in, well, your academic camp, Miss Zimmerman, and before it was shipped back to the United States for study, supposedly. And, well, this was done in such a rush that nobody can figure out where it went. It's such a dangerous artifact, especially in the hands of a malcontent such as Dr. Von Braun, could lead to significant complications.
And you are certain he knows the full power of the staff.
Oh, yes. Dr. Von Braun is fully aware and currently is under investigation for actions abroad. So, well, I will not go into further discussion over that, for that is a separate investigation. Related, but separate. Which brings it, but bringing it back around, you four are to seek out the Red Scepter. And you will be charged with not only finding it, but acquiring it through any means necessary, as well as attempting to bring the ones who hide it to justice. So,
Well, sounds like another day at the office.
indeed, but this one is playing for a rather large pot grow. But with that, I guess formal introductions are in order. Miss Thompson, you have been brought upon this team for your connections to your profession. We believe that your network will be able to help acquire knowledge as to the location of the scepter.
Assuming you didn't destroy it for me.
So, well, then you shouldn't have gotten into quite as bad of a tussle now, shouldn't have you?
And perhaps you shouldn't have stuck your nose in my business.
Everyone's business is the business of the Bureau.
I mean, I could debate that.
So do you need to know the size of my underwear and what my cup size is?
Exactly.
I can tell you that her cup size may be one. I can tell you that her cup size might be one smaller than what she says.
So,
That's very presumptuous of you. Is that something that's rude? Is that rude? I feel like that's rude.
Yeah, might be a little bit rude, but you know.
Well, then I suppose the cup size that you wear is one too large as well.
Ooh. Ooh.
Hey now. I appreciate my best. Thank you very much.
Oh,
So
sweet.
rude.
Oh, sweet.
Mr. Wallace, you have been brought in on this not only for your own protection from the other pending incidents, but also because your propensity for machines and engineering may prove very useful.
I mean, you know, I build stuff. I do things. Doesn't always work out. Most of the time it does.
So, as well as well, you're
I know stuff. I know a lot of things.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
I
we
talk
know.
to people. Yes. I know you know. I know you know, but do they know actually? Like you know and they know, but do you know? That's the question.
But and then, of course, Dr. Zimmerman, you are part of this team because, well, you know what we're looking for, and you've laid eyes upon it once before, and hopefully we'll be able to spot any potential reproductions and notice the difference between the two. And it's not unusual for some certain organizations to try to throw us off the trail. So,
Undoubtedly.
and then lastly, we have Agent Midnight Crow, who shall be your watcher. He will be your liaison to how we of the Bureau operate and how to conduct proper investigation. He is extraordinarily knowledgeable, and he's very, very good at keeping people out of trouble. And at this point, that Red Stag is looking particularly at Miss Thompson.
She's returning that stare.
No, don't worry. She's very good at the stare off. So don't get locked in that gaze.
I just wave my hand in between them a few times.
So, but any formal requests for additional resources or information, you should put through Agent Crow.
Riley will turn to Crow. Can I get my gun back?
When you leave,
But you are, as far as the Bureau is concerned, you are all operating under trial. You are free to roost here at the Bureau building. So unfortunately, Mr. Wallace, your accommodations are non-negotiable. You will be on curfew to return here for your own safety.
Even if Bird Boy is with.
Even if
Bird boy.
Agent Crow is with you,
Damn. Fine.
it's for your own safety.
See,
Mr.
you
Wallace.
say that, but is it for my safety or is it for everyone else's safety? Like, are you locked in? Am I locked in here with you, or are you locked in here with me?
I think we're all locked in here with each other, Bean.
You make a good point. Yes, that's true.
So, I will be your handler. Agent Crow answers to me, and you will be receiving your directives from myself. So we will be getting to know each other very, very well.
Well, at least buy me dinner first, okay? I mean, we gotta at least do that first.
See, that's what I said.
Exactly. You gotta buy a man dinner first, okay?
But I leave you with one last piece of information regarding this case, and then Agent Crow, you have full dispensation to proceed in this investigation how you see fit. I do entrust that you will mitigate collateral. This is not a loud and proud mission. This is a secure, and then we follow the Gilgamesh protocol.
Well, as always, Bean, I can't guarantee anything, but I will try my best.
just... Oh, and do us all a favor, and please keep Mr. Wallace from the archive.
Listen, I like libraries, okay? Libraries are good places.
Then you need to stop burning them down.
I don't do it on purpose. It was one time. One time.
All right. After this is all over, I may or may not know a certain library that you can go to.
So,
Don't worry, it's none within our walls.
I like
Trust
Bird.
me.
I like Bird Boy. I like
but the last bit of information I have to provide you is that the scepter was supposedly going to go with the rest of the other artifacts that Dr. Zimmerman has studied to the Smithsonian. Currently, though, it is not at the Smithsonian. It seems only about half of the artifacts arrived at the Smithsonian, both of the, but in even other is that the Smithsonian gathered some of the artifacts that were completely mundane, and others that were of interest. Class 2s, so nothing too serious, but it is odd that they would not receive the full shipment of artifacts. And what artifacts are received not only in the artifacts that are missing are not merely the potent ones, but in fact some of the class 2s, the class 4s, and then some of the mundane artifacts. That currently is all the information I have. If I receive anything, I will reach out, and you will receive a courier. Currently, a lot of that is pending on the von Braun investigation.
If we turn up anything, we'll be sure to report it back.
Indeed. For now, I leave you to get to know one another. So, and you can plan your next steps. I do wish to stress urgency in this matter. Every day that passes is a day that damned artifact may be put to use. With that, Red Stag kind of nods. Crow, you have the command. And Red Stag goes and taps on the door 3 times, and we hear the bolt latch open, and he exits the room.
Does it lock behind him?
You don't hear the bolt shut again.
Hunter chills slightly. There's always a level of panic with this dude, but he's slightly more chill now. Just a little.
So, I'm going to look over everyone. I'm going to say, well, you know me as Midnight Crow. That's all you need to know. First things first, I'm going to start off by taking. I'm going to start off by taking your weapon.
I'm guessing you're pointing at me.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to Riley.
Me? I am a weapon of mass destruction. You can't take me.
Biteable.
Not intending on using it. Why do you need it?
Because even if you don't intend on using it, I still don't trust you with it.
And I don't trust you either. So why don't you give me a reason to trust you?
Because you're currently in the middle, the very center of the Bureau of Investigation. There are many others like me. And if they catch you with that, they may not be as merciful as I am.
Well, then perhaps they ought to look in the wrong place.
Perhaps. Perhaps not. Do you sure you want to take that gamble?
Riley will stand up, intentionally take off her shirt in front of him, and she will hold up her hand,
Oh god, oh god.
then come and take it.
Fine then. I do. I take it.
It's right under the boobs. Have fun.
Okay.
I'll be sweaty.
I'm not even gonna. Just gonna take it.
She shrugs her shirt on, but not fully. I expect that back when we leave.
When we leave.
And she doesn't put the shirt the rest of the way on.
Are we
She's leaving it
good?
as a.
Are we good? Are we
You're
decent?
fine.
Oh, okay. Cool. I mean, I'm not fine. That's debatable at that.
Her shirt isn't buttoned.
Okay. I'm just gonna look at the door. Just gonna look over here now. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, you get a little bit hot on the color there, I'll be.
I don't
I'm just gonna pat him gently on the shoulder. Now we can leave. Now we can leave.
Out the door he goes.
Stay within my sight, Wallace. Don't want you moving anywhere out of my sight.
I mean, you don't have to call me Wallace. You can call me by my first name. It's Hunter.
Oh, Hunter. Yes,
I
well,
like you,
Hunter.
so you can call me by Hunter. You can call me Hunter.
Thank you. Miss Zimmerman, Dr. Zimmerman, I do believe you mentioned that Stag mentioned about your knowing the alleged malcontent. Do you have any idea of where he could be?
Honestly, do I?
So you're not quite sure. Hold on. Is there a roll that I can have you do for this? Why don't you make me a history check? Let's see if your past history with Dr. Von Braun brings anything to light.
All right. Oof. All right. They have this sorted weird. In audience, I am doing this at 400%. So imagine. There it is finally. Oh shit.
So you highlight it and then you scroll back up to the dice roller, which is under your stat bar. And then you just hit the D20 icon.
History. Where did you say the dice roller was? Under it?
Scroll all the way up above skills, combat, backstory, etc. It's right up there.
Oh, it's always there.
And
okay.
And it's saying, it should say rolling history, type, skill.
Yeah.
This is a regular difficulty, no
Regular
modifier.
Regular roll.
We're not whispering this to the keeper. There we go.
All right, perfect.
Okay. So from the time you worked with Dr. Von Braun, I mean, he was a foreign academic, one who transplanted over to the United States pre-Great War, and, well, was treated rather poorly during his time. But since the war has come to its conclusion, he has elected to not return to his homeland.
Mhm.
At least that's what he told you, and he tended to do a lot of correspondence from the Smithsonian itself as a doctor of archaeology and another fairly well-versed member of the lore community. So that's how you two originally became acquainted, was that you both shared a love of lore, old stories.
All right. Well, I believe we should start out with the Smithsonian. That's where Von Braun and I met, incidentally.
Well, off to the Smithsonian it is then. Is there any place that you think we can find him? I might as well start off there.
Lord Keeper, do I know of any weird stuff happening around the Smithsonian with my contacts?
Go ahead and roll me history real quick to see if there's anything in memory.
All right.
Oof.
No.
Ouchie.
You can't remember shit.
So to your knowledge, because again, this all sounds really hoodoo voodoo to you, because other than the funky coins that you were found with, this is still very trippy for you. I'm not sure if you think that they're insane or if there might be something going on, but so you haven't kept your ear to the ground as to strange happenings around the Smithsonian. There's just the normal protection racket.
John, I'm pretty sure you just cut out. Unless
Yeah.
it's just me.
No, I think
Yeah.
My
John just
microphone
cut out
too.
as well.
Yeah. Just talk
Got
real
really
loud.
quiet to me.
1 second. Nope, let me fix it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Fixing.
He fixing.
Boy, he fixing.
He fixing that shit, yo.
yeah, my microphone's been acting.
There
up.
we
I
go.
don't know why.
There we
I
go.
think
Huh,
I might have
that's
to
weird.
upgrade a driver.
Yeah. I would just like to point out Chameleon's comment, which is just Riley just remembers being pissed.
Yes, Chama, that is correct.
Chama,
Riley is just pissed, pissy
Riley's
all the
fucking
time.
Pissed.
But Riley, the best you know is that there's the normal protection racket surrounding the Smithsonian. But other than that, that's about it.
All right.
I wouldn't have any information on the Smithsonian at all, would I?
They wouldn't have let you near it with a 10-foot pole. You're
Yeah.
from Yale.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
Any chance I know, other than what's already been explained to me, is there any chance I know anything about the Smithsonian?
For your knowledge, you know that the Smithsonian serves kind of dual roles. You not only is, well, of course, the most premiered museum of art and history in the United States at this time, but also it serves the purpose of holding some very low class artifacts of class 1 and class 2 variety in trust. Pieces that, if were to be missing, would be a little bit more than tragic and would take notice. So they stay out there and display, and well, if they were to ever go missing, the Bureau would hear about it in very, very short order. However, to your knowledge, the vast majority of the staff of the Smithsonian should have been vetted, as anyone messing with the artifacts has to have a level of clearance by the Bureau.
That is not only one of the things that unsettled me, but you told me there's only like low class things that are being held there. But you said, but I remember Stag saying that class 2s and class 4s would be going there.
So, well, and I will feed this bit of information because I think it's just how I worded it, because
Oh, yeah.
stag is hard. Stag is very hard on my mouth.
Yeah, he is.
That's fair enough.
I believe it.
Hell
So,
yeah, he is. Hell yeah.
it is very unusual for a class 4 to be transferred over the Smithsonian, as class 4s are considered highly dangerous. But the sheer fact that they are all being done, the fact that it was a matter of that all of them, all of the artifacts of interest from the Dr. Zimmerman's academic mission were being transferred over, and only partially were received by the Smithsonian.
So this cane isn't the only thing that we're worrying about, but it's the only thing on our mission right now.
Mhm.
Have we made it outside, or are we still in the building right now?
Well, I say, if we aren't already, we are leaving for the Smithsonian.
Riley will then
Alright.
button up her shirt, get all business-like again.
Oh yeah, and about that,
Noticeably
Zoe
excited.
looks down and
She's
is
never been
blushing
there
like
before.
as red as her hair.
Field trip, field trip.
We're going on a field trip.
So we make our way to the Smithsonian.
Okay, well, as you guys pass the front desk, certain effects have been returned. So, for Mrs. Zimmerman, you have been returned your particular items of interest. So your
Very large.
purse and various effects.
Yes.
And there's a brief moment of the front desk looking at the list of things to be returned to Miss Thompson.
And I'm just waiting expectantly.
Paper, paper,
And
paper.
we such as not one, not two, 4 pistols of the Derringer variety.
Oh.
A boot knife and several other effects.
And I'm
Wait a
taking my
minute,
time
wait.
putting them on in all the hidden spots,
All of
making
them.
sure that they're all fully loaded.
I'm gonna pull out the concealed knife that was in her bra strap, and I'm going to look at the reception desk and will say, next time do a full cavity search when searching this one.
I also put the bra
yes,
shiv back.
Yeah, yes.
You've got a little holster like right in the middle. How did you get those? Where was she keeping them?
You know
One
what?
for me to
I
know
have
and
no
you to
idea.
find out.
Oh dear.
But Crow, the receptionist looks over. It's like, she was searched before she got here.
Right, well, now you know what to do next time. Anywho, onward.
I don't get anything back, right?
Yeah, you don't have anything about.
I got fuck all.
So, and with that, I think we are at a good spot for a 10-minute break because my voice is straining a bit, and I think everybody could use a quick break to rest their noggins for a moment.
It's okay. It's because of that hard stag you had to deal with earlier.
Yes, you don't know how difficult it is to try to keep the accent purposely shifting.
No, you're good. I'm just making
Oh yeah,
jokes.
definitely.
So, but
Which I'm hoping you're catching and blatantly ignoring, but
Yeah.
you know,
but
I'm not sure.
for now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a brief 10-minute break, and then when we return, we will see our band of investigators as they approach the Smithsonian and see if they can find any leads to the particular artifact of interest. But for now, go stand in the light for a bit, get yourself a cup of tea or coffee or whatever, and when we return, we will continue our delve into the world unseen. For now, we shall return shortly.
Except for that.
Cheese, stiff hard peck.
and we return to the darkness. I hope everyone had a enjoyable break. That we just had a few little hiccups here and there. I'm pretty sure we got that gremlin stuff back into the box.
It was
You-
one time. It was one time.
But ladies and gentlemen, I will say that we will be going on for about maybe another hour or so. Unfortunately, my vocals are shredding. Because our dear keeper this day forgot to properly warm up his vocals prior to starting the stream, and I am paying for it quite prodigiously. So we will be continuing on for about an hour, and then we will bring tonight's adventure to a close until the next time. But
That is all.
But for now, we turn our attention to our team of investigators as they approach the Smithsonian Museum of Art and History, a very storied place. So a place of learning and a place of history, where many, many things are on display and many other hidden things do dwell. But for now, we turn our attention to our four investigators.
So I've never actually been in the Smithsonian before. Some of the people don't like me there. It's this whole thing with Yale, because I went to Yale and shit. So like, can we please let me go in here for once? I will take your silence as a resounding yes.
No,
Thank you for
hold,
backing me
hold,
up.
hold on a second there before you go anywhere. Do I have like a rope on me or anything? Did I have the foresight to grab a rope and like rope and like tie it around him to keep him on a leash?
Child leash.
Child leash.
Child leash for a phone-ass grown adult.
I mean, would you have pulled something like that for Kit when you left?
I think when I think going to find out, I guess not.
Then
I guess
unfortunately you do not have a rope.
Okay, I'm going to look at him and going to say, "You are on a tight collar. You move out of arm's length, I'm pulling you back in."
I slightly inch past arm's length.
I'm gonna like grab him by the collar, one hand over, and yank him back in.
It was a joke. It was a joke. Come on.
So
I mean, I know I'm not good at jokes, but come on.
I don't believe he should need one, especially if we're all going in as investigators, a team responsible for ourselves and our own actions,
Exactly.
and in a way, each other.
You say that now.
I do say that. I know exactly what I'm doing all the time.
No,
You have pockets, Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Who doesn't have pockets?
I suggest you keep your hands in them.
I mean, I'm not.
Or
What do you think I am?
This
a barbarian? I
excursion.
know how museums work.
well, you did
Yeah.
say you were never allowed in here.
Yeah,
So-
because they don't like me.
I wonder why.
It's because I went to Yale. That's why.
Somehow I doubt that. Anyway, we're moving in.
What do you doubt? The fact that I went to Yale? I have multiple doctorates. Thank you very much.
the chat room is
Wow.
There's some acute accusations coming from chat.
I
Being an arsonist.
you don't know that.
You don't know that. I may have burned down one light, but that's it wasn't this
It
one.
was one time.
Riley pulls out his cigarettes and just takes a long drag.
Hunter moves just slightly out of range of the fire from
I'm yanking him in.
No. It's still within 5 feet. I'm still within melee.
I'm yanking him back
I'm
in.
within melee.
No. You're keeping
I'm
close
just
by me.
further away from Riley.
You will listen to your father when he is speaking to you.
You're not my father. My father is dead, thank you. If you were my father, then oh god, we have much more to worry about than just a scepter.
And at this point, Joe had a stroke.
The crow dies.
The crow croaked.
You better eat that crow while it is young and fresh.
Big fucking bird.
Cloth Raven, nevermore.
The Raven, get back here, you little shit.
Back here, so help me.
God damn it, Chitin.
Anyway, I'm gonna start walking in.
Okay.
I follow behind, kind of obscuring myself from whoever's at the front desk behind everyone else.
I put the cigarette out on the bottom of my boot before I enter.
Okay, so from Wallace, if you are trying to hide from the receptionist, I need a stealth roll from you.
Oh shit.
Oh fuck.
Just regular?
Just a regular stealth roll.
Nope.
Doesn't say here.
You try to hide behind Zoe. You're significantly bigger than Zoe.
Not that big.
You're wearing quite a bit.
I'm really not. I would say it's less what I'm wearing and more the fact that I'm not quiet. I can't shut up.
So, but you lot enter into the lobby of the Smithsonian Museum of Art and History, and the front desk receptionist is a young woman. It just looks up, and she's got rather nice, well-kempt black hair, tied currently just out loose in some nice curls. She looks up at you four, and she's like, "Welcome to Smithsonian Museum of Art and History. How may I help you?"
Okay, I'm just gonna message you something quick, Joe.
Okay.
In the meantime,
You have a lot of stray cats around here.
Cats.
And also, while you're all here, why don't you go check out Extra Life? Donate to them. It's a wonderful cause. They do amazing, brilliant things for kids who are sick. And, go support them. They're great and wonderful. Do that. Okay? Thanks. Bye.
Yep. You could also
What a pretty girl.
You could also donate down below the stream here to using the donation widget.
I mean, tax returns are coming up soon. So if you're, you can
She
write that off
sits
in your
right in
tax
front of the
returns for
monitor.
next year. So,
Okay then.
yeah. Do the thing. Donate.
Good thing. Donate the thing.
So, not yet. So, but again, the receptionist is there waiting for a response.
I'm just gonna pull out my. I'm gonna discreetly put my ID on the desk, and I'm just gonna say, "We heard that you received a shipment in not too long ago. I'd like all the information about it, please."
She looks down and just nods. Is like, "Very well, Agent. Do you happen to know the shipment reference number or any other pertinent information. We do get quite a few. And then this is the point where she looks at Wallace and pauses for a moment. It's like, I'm sorry, has that man been recently in a fire?
A little bit.
You look very familiar.
I get that a lot. Kind of familiar face, you know. I just kind of duck
Don't
my
worry.
head and
Don't worry,
look
he's
away
with
from
me.
her.
Don't worry, he's with me. If he touches anything, I'll be sure that he answers
I
first.
won't touch anything. Hands in the pockets. My hands go in the pockets, which immediately are just kind of like with soot, just a little poof. I won't touch anything.
Anyway, a reference number or any other identifying information?
I'm gonna look over to Dr. Zimmerman. I'm just gonna say, sorry, who was your colleague's name again?
Dr. Von Braun brought it in, I believe.
Dr. Von Braun.
Can I just say, out of character, real quick, we're the fucking customer who calls into their bank asking what this purchase for $36.12 is, and doesn't have their statement in front of them.
Well, I mean,
Accurate.
you can't exactly have a statement for something that isn't at the museum.
I know. It's like, no, I didn't purchase this. Well, it says here that you signed for it. It's like, I didn't do that. Anyway.
So,
Back
like,
on.
at the mention of Von Braun, the receptionist's eyebrows raise a bit. It's like, give me just a moment. I believe I probably should page the curator at this time. Please just, I'll be just a moment.
Take your time. We'll be here. Not touching anything.
I didn't. I told you I wasn't touching anything. My hands are in my pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Riley is
that's where they
being-
shall remain.
Riley is being nosy and just kind of walking around the lobby, looking, not touching
Mm-hmm.
things to kind of see what's here.
I'm just
Could
speaking to
be.
one person doesn't mean I
You've known
don't
me
need
for
to.
30 minutes.
So the lobby itself is a fairly nice lobby. It's obviously a very well-to-do museum. There's several information cards as to the various traveling exhibits present in the museum. So, as well as a brief map of the current Smithsonian floor for where various exhibits are and other notables. So,
I want to study that map just to kind of get an idea of what the layout's like.
okay. So, yeah, it's just mostly contained into the entire building is more like a T. So where at the bottom of the T is where the lobby is, and it goes all the way back, and then there's several notable exhibits to the right, and then across the way there's a sections cordoned off for mostly the storage and restoration of objects. So just the general upkeep of the museum. So but most notably, you see that the art section is limited a little bit as they have several traveling exhibits from what seems to be words, Jeebus. From the Slavic regions, as well as a few Oriental exhibits on loan from what appears to be Tokyo. So, in the recent trade exhibited by the United States with Tokyo. Oh, there
You
comes.
cut out again. I heard. Tokyo and things transferred from the United States to Tokyo. Things like that.
I don't know why my mic keeps acting up like that.
It's
I will
weird.
endeavor to fix it. But yeah, permanent exhibits that are not the normal art exhibits includes a permanent Egyptian room, a permanent general European Middle Ages exhibit, as well as early American history. So, and then a very, very, very small African collection.
Okay. Well, with that, I'm going to look around. Is there anything that I might recognize?
To you, you've been here a couple times, and you know that many of the permanent collections is where the lower class artifacts are placed. Normally, actual potent artifacts aren't part of the traveling exhibits, as most branches will not share their collection of artifacts with another branch unless there is a very, very extenuating circumstances.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
And I don't recognize any of this shit because I've never been here before.
Correct. But
Would the red stag? Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Would the red stag have known of any reference numbers for
Nope.
the artifacts?
Currently, the only one who would have a relative idea of a reference number would actually be you, since you were part of that academic team, but it's not coming to mind.
Yeah.
Dr. Von Braun was mostly the one who packaged them up for shipping.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I would have had much knowledge of them going anywhere really.
Maybe we should just mention the specific item we're looking for, maybe.
Is the receptionist there at the desk, or did they leave to go?
They left to go grab the curator, and it's at this time that she returns with said curator.
Oh, well, wonderful.
I am going to walk up beside Crow here.
I also walk up with the rest of the group just to make sure that nobody yells at me for existing.
Well, look, I will start trusting you more. Does that make you feel a bit better?
Not really, no.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give you a hug later. Anyway, hello, curator.
And this curator seems to be a very elderly gentleman. Definitely with at this point, no hair, and he does have a rather prodigious academic beard, aka he hasn't shaved in what appears to be a while. And it's snowy white, and his spectacles are perched upon his rather beaked nose.
Dumbledore?
So
That's all I can see, I'm sorry.
wearing the normal trappings of a academic, so with a tweed jacket and rather just nice but not formal attire. So and the receptionist like Agent Crow, I believe that Curator Donald can possibly answer your question better. And Donald is looking straight at Wallace.
My hands are still in my pockets, and I'm standing behind everyone else, very close to them.
Oh, Riley isn't sitting with the group,
Close.
dude. She's standing off to the side.
He mentioned something about him being banned here, but trust me, you need not worry. I'm in control of him, and if he has to grab anything, I'll make sure he returns it post haste.
You apparently are not aware of this one's reputation. This one has been
Right.
barred from these grounds for quite some time.
Just because I went to Yale doesn't mean that I should not be able to
We
say it.
heard what happened at Yale,
Oh, did you?
Dr. Wallace. And it is taking all of my self-restraint from chasing you out of here myself.
Listen, there's a lot of things that you don't necessarily know.
And I bet you Yale little brain wants to tell me all about that.
Oh no, I don't need to tell you fuck all.
And we're not going to have it. We're not. Please.
There's no point in arguing with people who don't understand what a debate is. And over the...
Mr.
Agent Crow. Well, the Smithsonian is definitely a deserving patron and trustee of the Bureau. We do have our standards. This one is not permitted on our grounds and will not be allowed past the lobby. You, as well, you should be, and you should recall the fact that, yes, we possess some of the artifacts of note in trust, but it is I and the other 3 curators here that hold the power. Do I make myself clear, Agent?
Understood.
Now, you were asking about some sort of shipment from Von Braun.
Indeed we were.
We are especially interested in the red staff.
Scepter. It was scepter. Not quite the same thing.
Sorry.
It's all good. Just thought I would put that out there for the people who don't know what we're talking about.
Yes, we are especially interested in the red scepter.
So,
Is this part of your shipment?
the last shipment I received, and I actually believe that you must have been on that academic, because I believe I saw some of the notations made by your hand, Professor Zimmerman, if I am not mistaken. You are Professor Zimmerman, if I'm correct?
Yes, you are correct.
So, wonder to have you back here. I remember you partaking in last year's fundraising gala. Your dissertation on Egyptian burial rites was very informative. Unfortunately, we only received maybe 2 crates. Furthermore, unfortunately, both of which were requested by the Bureau for confiscation and analysis. So, as per protocol for their investigation with Mr. Ron, which I will take this moment to also state for the record that Professor Von Braun is not representative of the Smithsonian or staff or any of the administration. Any actions that he has taken are merely his own. He just works here. He doesn't call him the shots.
Of course not.
Understood. Understood.
I just went to school there. But, semantics.
So, do you have any duct tape?
Does duct tape exist?
Duct tape doesn't exist yet.
Hold on. I'm gonna look it up.
Do you have any super glue or anything of any sort of like bonding variety so I can clamp his lip shut?
I need to know when it was invented. I need to know now.
Not until
Sorry.
World War II.
Wiley will do is she will take off her necktie and hand it over. No, you do not need to eat my sunflower seeds, cat.
Take off her necktie. Wait, you can't have been hiding something in your necktie.
I'm literally taking off the necktie so you can tie it in his
no.
mouth like a goddamn gag.
Duct tape does exist.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, that shit's old.
I mean, it was originally founded by the Romans. So,
Duct
Like,
tape?
the first
Yikes.
material called duct tape was long strips of plain cotton duck cloth used in making shoes stronger, for decoration on clothing, and for wrapping steel cables. Not for dust.
Wow.
Okay, but it's
DUCK.
probably not the generic commercially available stuff, because commercially available tape didn't occur until the Scotch brand started issuing Scotch tape. And then
Yeah, no.
commercially available duct tape, I don't think was available until after World War
There
II.
are adhesive tapes that exist.
Just not any that would be strong enough to put
Let's
aside.
try not to derail it, guys.
So-
Sorry, I had to look it up. I needed to know.
The history of duct tape.
History of duct tape. The more you know.
Call of Cthulu. Duct tape?
Here's the dark secret. Duct tape is made from straws.
Duct tape is made with the souls of the damned.
But so
I don't know what cotton duck cloth is, though, so I'll look that up later.
Anyway,
Tangible.
so I don't suppose we could see this shipment, Mr. Curator.
well, let's see here. And we watch as he pulls up, like he goes over to the reception desk, and we do watch him pull out a clipboard to look through some notations. It's like, unfortunately, Agent Crow, I am afraid I can't allow that. It does seem that because currently the shipment has been secured and has been transported to one of your agency's facilities already under Agent Nightshade's directive.
Nightshades.
That's a good name. That's a good name.
Hmm.
Ominous.
All right, understood. Thank you very much.
So, I will say though, as far as memory serves, we were supposed to receive at minimum 3 more shipments. However, the latest one is already 3 weeks overdue.
Hmm.
So, which is quite distressing, because even transport by ship would have reached, at the very least, New York by this point. So, and we never did get any confirmation from New York Harbor or any of the other normal reception points. Didn't come in by air nor by any other means. So it is very strange, actually, how we received the first 3, but the other 3 just up and vanished.
I look at the crow beside me and kind of raise an eyebrow, like, you think Von Braun stole them?
Are you asking Riley or are you asking the receptionist?
Oh no, I'm not asking anybody. I'm kind of indicating to Crow that perhaps Von Braun stole them or rerouted them or something like that.
Tell me who
Alright.
was in charge of getting the original packages.
Well, normal procedure is that they hit the port and then they are verified and then that's transported via truck to the Smithsonian, in which one of the curators signs for it officially. I believe curator Gregor actually signed for the first two, and curator Vincent signed for the third.
Do you remember which dock it went to? These first 3 shipments.
Well, because it was an international transfer from the Middle East, they were actually transported via air. So just because.
Transported via air.
So, and I believe.
You have the.
Go ahead.
I don't suppose you have that reference number with you, do you?
I have the reference numbers for the first 3, but they're not going to be much use because it's by date of shipping. And if these have at least been 2 weeks apart, so it's very hard to tell how many other reference numbers could be in between them. So, but the first reference number is A2-3Z-10221. The second is X2-77-1525. And the last is. Yeah, this is strange. There's actually no reference number for this last one.
That's surprising.
Interesting.
Is that package here on site by chance?
They are not. As I stated before, they've already been moved to a secure location under the directive of Agent Nightshade. So.
Well, certainly it wouldn't hurt to take a small look around, surely, just to make sure everything's in order.
No, you're not doing that.
And why aren't you doing it then?
We are. Just back at our own base.
Doesn't hurt to double check.
No, we're not going into their private stock. First of all, I don't have the clearance. Second, they are in different. Those shipments in particular are in a different location. Under the order of Nightshade, you said, correct?
Yes, Agent Nightshade, who requested it. I believe, if I am not mistaken, that she is the lead on the Von Braun investigation.
You don't say.
Very well, then. Well, did you happen to receive any other packages around the same time?
With the Smithsonian, I received possibly 8 minimum crates a day.
And can we have those reference numbers then as well?
No, we can't.
And why can't we? Perhaps a package is hidden within a package. It's not hard to do.
Box within another box.
Perhaps, but in that case, they wouldn't have been directed to this museum. Thus forth, they wouldn't have the reference number for it. This scepter has gone missing.
Exactly. Perhaps it's been relocated into another package.
But either way, they don't have it.
How do we know that for sure if we don't check their previous packages? You're not very good at smuggling, are you?
No, I'm not good at smuggling.
Is that what you do?
No,
Okay,
it's
it makes
not.
no sense. Okay.
No, it's not, darling.
Okay, never mind.
If you wish to go look at the others, I assume that you must have Class 4 clearance.
Class 4 clearance.
Yes. You know it is standard protocol for any receiving facility to have at least minimums Class 4.
Well, do I need a Class 4 clearance to go look at your open exhibits?
No, you may browse the normal exhibits, but note that we do have security monitoring the off-limits sections.
Understood.
And the only one, so the rest of you may peruse the rest of the museum, except you, Professor Wallace.
I mean, it's doctor. I don't teach people, but you know. I'm told I'm not supposed to be outside of arm's length from Probe here, so you'll have to take that up with them, I suppose.
He is not permitted in this facility.
That is understood. So you're going to go wait outside, and I'm going to look to the. I'm going to look to Doctor. I'm going to look to Dr. Zimmerman. You have a choice now. You can either go outside with him, or you can come in with me. Unless does Dr. Zimmerman have that clearance? Do you have level 4 clearance?
I believe I would, right?
Nope, you would not. You're an
Alrighty,
academic.
well-
You're an academic, and this is all still new to you.
Ah, all
So-
right.
All right, fair enough.
Unfortunately, no. I
and,
will wait outside with.
And to clarify something real quick, Crow, you ain't got level 4 clearance either.
Hold on. Yes, I do.
Hidden backstory shenanigans, truly revealed.
Do you?
Level 4 clearance.
I thought you had class 3.
You also gain security clearance of 4.
Oh, yep. My bad. That's my bad.
Secret background shenanigans.
So, okay, so you are the only one on this team who has the clearance.
I'm the only one who has the clearance.
I'm not even allowed in the building, so congrats.
Yeah, I did it.
So I get to go hang out outside. The rest of you get to hang out in the building because these people are discriminatory. So,
Well, you shouldn't have gone to Yale now, shouldn't you?
well, you should have learned to not be an asshole. Now, shouldn't you?
And you should learn to stop setting shit on fire.
It happened one fucking time. One fucking time.
And your one time destroyed countless priceless manuscripts.
Which doesn't make any sense. It really shouldn't have happened that way.
We recently kept them all in one place.
Yeah, should really be keeping copies everywhere else, you know?
Come on, Hunter. It's no use arguing with him. Let's.
Oh, I know. I can't argue with stupid, so I'm gonna leave now. And I walk out the door.
I
I walk
Oh yeah,
away.
I am
Also,
kind.
as Zimmerman's walking out, I'm just going to say, keep an eye on Thompson as well.
It's
I
a
turn back
person
around and
perusing
look at-
the actual collection.
Yeah,
Or
no,
was I mistaken?
Yeah, no, Riley's checking out the Egyptian exhibit since Egyptian was mentioned.
Yep. There is a permanent Egyptian room. So, and it's got various artifacts of Egyptian history, including several canopic jars and other bits and bobs, mostly small artifacts. But you do realize that there are several glass cases with what seem to be more intact pieces.
What do those pieces look like?
There are a pair of jade earrings, it appears. So just two large jade stones with a piercing to them. So it looks like the carving on them are a little bit worn. There is what seems to be a half of a death mask. So unfortunately, it's been Unfortunately, it's very clear that it's been very mistreated over by years. but the part that does remain is actually very, very detailed. So, and obviously the work of a skilled artisan. The third case has a very, very old Kopesh that is in very good condition. And then the final case has a small, ornate Ankh necklace. And they are all under glass.
All
I
right.
smash the glass. No, I'm not there.
Any signs that the red scepter might just be hidden in the exhibit amongst the, like a needle in a haystack?
I mean, the exhibit is extensive, but you don't see anything resembling the red scepter.
Okay. And on my way out, I just take a note of like all the entrances and exits, and I leave.
Okay. Are you heading outside, or are you leaving the museum, or?
I'm leaving there. I'll head towards the lobby because I don't think anyone came with me. Or
No,
Nope.
you went by yourself because I have to
Okay.
have a chaperone.
Okay, actually, if I'm by myself, then is art.
And there are various patrons browsing the exhibits.
Okay,
Because it is
that's
still
fine.
there is still a very it's still a very public place, and it is a very famous museum.
Okay, yeah, and I want to look at the very, very, very small African collection then as well.
So the small African collection, whereas the Egyptian collection, reality, the Egyptian quote room, it was actually probably 2 or 3 rooms put together for display. This is a very small room. It'd almost be better to call it a nook. And it features various African masks and other like more primitive artifacts, including what seems to be a long spear mounted to the wall.
Okay, take a note of everything and then I'll head back to the lobby where I'm assuming people are waiting for me about them.
Okay. In the meantime, so we'll go to Crow Zone, which I assume you wanted to use your clearance to go back to look at the shipment boxes.
Indeed I do. Indeed do.
Okay. So after talking with Curator Donald, you are led back into the restricted section for restoration, storage, and classification. So you know that general protocol is thou shalt not touch unless you are specifically told you can touch. Just because since the Smithsonian does handle
Look at this.
artifacts of note. So, but you're led back to what seems to be the receiving room, and there's at least 5 more crates that were bundled off. You can see where on the ground there's like dust where obviously 3 other crates were, but they are no longer there.
Okay. Okay, I can only assume those are the ones that have been shipped off back to the bureau.
Okay.
So I'm going to look over to the curator. I'm going to look back to those like recent dust marks. I'm going to say those are the most recent boxes that have been taken. Yes.
Correct.
Are we expecting any other shipments from Egypt before this whole investigation started?
Not terribly. So as you know, the Middle Eastern branch is very particular about their artifacts, and despite the fact that their insistence on leaving artifacts of note in trust to, well, quite frankly, deserted tombs. But as far as I know, the academic mission was the only one operating in the Middle East, and at the time, and well, they weren't even supposed to have shipped any artifacts of note. It was supposed to be, at best, mostly mundane artifacts for restoration and then returning back to Egypt for display at the Cairo Museum.
Did you ever end up receiving any unexpected shipments?
None that we weren't fully expecting. So, of course, there's always the occasion where one crate might get lost and then show up a couple weeks later, but generally no longer than 2 weeks. So,
Well, I think I've seen all that I need to see.
very good. Is there anything else?
There's supposed to be some other rare artifacts that came with the red cane specifically. They were of class 2s and 4s. This is unusually high coming to here specifically. Do you have any idea as to where that might have been?
At this time, I do not know. So Agent Nightshade asked very much the same question as that, someone of Dr. von Braun's familiarity with the process would suggest that he should have known better. Because as per protocol, if we do receive something of particularly storied interest, we are to follow through with protocol and contact the Bureau directly. So, as far as what we received, again, here, and he goes over to a different there's a bunch of clipboards hanging on the wall. And he picks one up and he starts flipping through it, and it's like, yeah. So the earliest shipments were categorized as 4 class 2, 2 class 1s, and the rest were mundane. So there was one package that we suspected may have been a class 3, but that turned out to not be the case. So something about a new death mask of one with history, but turned out to be very mundane.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Indeed. So, do watch yourself around, Dr. Wallace. I'm not sure how much your higher-ups may have told you, but it is no secret that man is not stable. He has caused quite a hubbub up at Yale. So you'll want to watch him closely, agent. With that,
thank you very much.
we are going to shift over to Zoe and Wallace.
Speak of the devil, they shall
Honestly,
appear.
I don't understand why these people think I am a liability. Only a couple of bad things have happened, and it wasn't necessarily my fault. Some things were because the machines were faulty, and other things were because, things are stupid. And people discriminate upon where you are and where you came from, and it's stupid. I am perfectly stable.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly sane! No, you're not yet, fam!
I didn't say sane, I said stable.
I'm not insane, I'm not insane.
Zoe's just listening to this.
I am perfectly stable. Sounds so funny.
All of a sudden,
Yeah,
she blurts
sorry.
out, "Did you burn the Yale library?"
No. Not on purpose.
Well, I'm not judging. Accidents do happen,
Finally,
but
somebody who doesn't judge. I appreciate it.
how in the world did that happen? If I may
Well,
ask.
there was this thing with this book, and there was a machine, and I really like machines, so I have to build them. It's kind of just a little bit of an obsession. And I built the thing, and things went terribly, terribly, terribly wrong. And then I blacked out, and then I woke up in a tiny room for 3 weeks, days, months, time.
What did you build?
A machine. It was great. It was a good machine. There was a lot of information about it. It was a lot. There was a lot into that.
Did it have a name in the book at least?
Yeah, probably. Everything has a name at some point. The names have power, and names do weird things when you get them from old books. So I try not to mention them.
Okay. Well,
It was like kind of like oh gosh, what's it called? Goodness, kind of like a smeltery of sorts.
oh,
Yeah.
Interesting.
You melt metals with it and make, like ingots and machinery.
why would you build that in the library?
That's where I live. I live in the basement of the library.
Asterisk.
Ah.
Lived.
Lived.
I see.
I lived in the basement of the library. I ran all the machinery down there, kept the place running. I was the only reason those fuckers had heat. You don't see them complaining.
Well, sounds like an honest mistake to me.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you for understanding.
I would love to learn more about this machine. If
There's
we
a
ever.
lot. I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about it.
Hmm.
Just because there's a line. And these people get really upset when you talk about things that you're not supposed to talk about. Like how there's definitely another war that's
and how the stock market's gonna
crash in like 5 years. It's they don't believe me, but it's gonna happen. And everything's gonna go shit.
Well, I love books too, and I'd love to see some of the interesting ones you found.
Well,
One day.
if I was ever allowed to go back into the library ever again, which they told me I'm not allowed to. Not if I have my way. My phone line is going off.
So, as this pair of intellectuals is having this conversation, we do have a brief shot as two rather large, burly individuals begin their approach.
Oh, this isn't going to end well.
Around the same time that Agent Crow and Riley Thompson begin to exit the front of the building.
Do I recognize these guys?
You do. And we will discuss this next session.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Ah!
So,
It's hard to complain when you.
Oh
burn
great!
but yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing our session to a close. Unfortunately, story time must always come to a close. and even the ones of dark stories must come to a close at some point. So, mainly because the keeper is very tired, and it is very late, and my vocals are ready to cry. I cannot keep that accent up. I cannot because my voice is literally shredding.
That's
Um, but yeah, Jebel will pop back here in just a minute. But
Yeah.
yeah, so this has been Operation Cathedral. It is the new Call of Cthulhu 5th edition. I forgot.
I think it's
Mm,
seventh,
I think
actually.
No, it's 7.
Heavens.
It's so I don't speak Call of Cthulhu very good. So
Love Cthulhu.
but it's the brand new edition that rolled out either late last year or early this year. Um, so which, pardon me, no, either late 2018 or early 2019 is when it released. But the plot thickens. The team has assembled. They have their first mission handed down, and intrigue upon intrigue and mystery on mystery. And well, our intrepid team is also trying to get the trying to size each other up, trying to figure out who each other is, who exactly are they working for. So, but but yeah, so this is part once again. This is part of our Extra Life charity drive. So again, it's a wonderful charity. It's all focused on helping kids in hospital and to recover by paying for things like accommodations, for treatments, for things such as uh-oh, I don't see my audio bar jumping. Is that... Nope, there it is.
Yeah, we still hear you.
I can still hear you.
You're
Okay.
good.
I'm paranoid now. But yeah, it's a great charity. Helps kids with accommodation, treatments, and paying for entertainment while they're in hospital. Because well, them kids need something to distract from life not going their way. It
Yeah.
really sucks not having something to do in hospital. Fucking drives you up the walls.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, a big thank you to my wonderful cast for embarking on this journey. We'll see how many sessions they survive, how far deep into the dark they get. There is a Jebel, just in time for us to finish off on a cliffhanger.
We went out the building. There were big beefy guys. We don't recognize them, except
Oh,
Riley
boy.
recognizes them. So we're fucked.
So,
Who does Riley?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Hi. Yes.
so,
The sigh.
Thompson.
but yeah. So let's do some shoutros. So Jebel, who are you? What do you do? And where can people find you on the internet if you so want to be found?
I am Jevel. I am a voice actor sometimes, and you can find me on the 5th plane of hell.
That's a good one, actually. That's not bad.
I didn't know you moved to the United States.
No, we're the 9th ring of hell. We're really
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what region of the U.S. you're in.
Yeah. Detroit. No.
God.
Yeah.
Connor.
Okay.
But I've got no like big online presence. You might see me here and there. Just
You're starting to show up a little bit more here on this channel. So
I'm becoming a regular. Hello.
yeah, so
Yes, the devil.
once again, it's always good to have you along for the ride, especially considering how late it is for you. So
Thank you very
Oh
much.
yeah.
so
Can't even imagine.
over there in UK land.
Which is equally a shit show as the US.
Oh, trust me.
It's only like what 4:30 in the morning for you.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
Man.
you're
At
an hour
night,
ahead.
politics don't exist, so
Time? What's time? Time has no meaning.
time is a social construct.
Time is a social construct. It's bullshit.
Speaking of social social constructs, which brings us to TK.
Oh, hello.
Ooh.
I am the social construct. Welcome to hell.
Fuck you too.
TK,
Oh boy.
you, the wonderful artist who has done our overlay art. Who are you? What do you do? And where can people find you? If you wish to be found.
I'm good fucking luck. I'm TK. I go by TK Senpai on a whole bunch of different things. I used to have a Tumblr and that got shadow banned because of the NSFW thing. Because fuck that shit. So if you want art that I do, you can find me on Fur Affinity because I'm a fucking furry. So you know, I do stuff there. I have a Twitter, but I don't do anything with it. I just reblog like cat photos and dog videos. So yeah. Just TK Senpai at Fur Affinity. Yeah. And a whole bunch of other shit, but a lot of it's inactive at this point. So I do stuff.
Okay. Which brings us over to Scythe. So,
Hello.
what do you do, and where can people find you if you wish to be found?
Oh yes, what am I? I am currently a wannabe everything. Really easy to find me. I go by Shadow Scythe on everything, really. Twitch, Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. Hopefully gonna be picking up some streaming soon here if I remember that I can stream and if I can get my OBS to like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
My OBS has been a bitch lately, so I need to look into another one.
I mean, I run this entire thing on Streamlabs.
Yeah, I need to switch to Streamlabs because I just have OBS Studio and it keeps dropping frames like they're nothing.
Yeah, traditional OBS is angry.
It was doing so good for me up until a couple times ago, and then it just kept dropping everything.
OBS, more like BS.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
Thank you, Pyromaniac.
You're welcome.
Fitting name. A fitting name. Everyone thinks Hunter is a fucking arsonist. So.
You
No,
mean
it's
he's
me.
not?
No, not on purpose.
Uh-huh.
So, and then we bring ourselves to Quirky Kitty, last but not least. So, Quirky, who are you? What do you do? And where can people find you if you wish to be found?
I am a website developer. I have Twitter, Facebook. I really don't do much with Facebook, so best place to find me is Twitter at webwitch81000. There is lots of fun on Twitter. You will find cat pictures, more Toby and Snickers, yay!
Danny.
And also 3D character fan art, which you've probably seen me with this a few times tonight, making notes about character descriptions. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. And a little bit of reading and chatting on Discord, just to finalize everything. But anyway,
Excellent.
if you'd like to visit my website and learn more about what I do, it's wonderfulwitchoftheweb.com. Probably a good thing to save you for last.
So, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, I have been your keeper of forbidden lore, Jodo1025. You obviously can find me here. So, or if you are watching this upon the YouTubes, you can find me streaming over at twitch.tv/Jodo1025. The link down below for the YouTube will bring you to the new channel where I am starting to archive things, mostly the main campaigns. There will be some things that don't crossover, such as my Cultist Simulator playthrough. But Titans of Maran, which is the other charity game that I run, the charity campaign, will be returning next week on Wednesday for the next session of their Knife Runner's Hold adventure, because, well, Beeble ended up causing a ruckus, is going to jail because Beetle.
It's people.
So,
Damn it,
It's
people.
people.
yeah. But also coming down the works is pretty soon I will be making the announcement for the Q1 major fundraiser and the event that's going to be surrounding that. I have something coming down the pipeline that it will be very entertaining and it will be probably a riot to watch. So
Ooh,
definitely
excited.
definitely keep an ear out for that kind of announcement. I'm hoping to have that solidified by the end of this month, so that way I can make official announcements and start collecting cast members for it. And then
I raise my
finally,
hand.
and then finally, every Sunday you can catch me over at Lucas G Varieties channel. Once again, twitch.tv/LucasGVariety, as I am a cast member on 2 of his shows. Right now we are running the Macross Saga. And I play the glorious Aizen Soranova, the Russian artilleryman, who's in deep, deep shit.
The
So,
Russian
Nah.
artillery man. When you hit the rest of the team with fireball, it ends badly.
not my fault, acceptable losses.
It's not your fault, except you are one who fired fucking cannon into group of ally.
They weren't supposed to be there. Anyway, but yeah, that's been our fun drama-filled system based off the Macross Robotech anime, being GM'd by Haruko Junko. So it's been very entertaining, been very, very interesting. And then eventually we will see the premiere of the final season of Blades in the Dark, in which I've been there from season 2 onward, as Gregory Scales Heinlein, the leader of the nefarious purgers. So it took a second because we haven't played Blades in the Dark in like 3 months now. I'm getting the itch, and we're about ready to button up the entire series. And there's so many awesome ideas going around. But yeah, so definitely check that out over at Lucas G Varieties channel around 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So around 5:30 Mountain Standard Time. So which makes that about 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
4 p.m. Pacific.
So, but for now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this adventure. So the next we meet should hopefully be in 2 weeks. So because this is a bi-weekly game, so we should be coming back on the, let me double check the calendar, the 22nd of February. So, but until then,
Not the 22nd. We got other things happening there. We'll figure it out. We have another thing happening, remember?
I don't.
Oh,
The
yeah.
23rd.
23rd.
We have stuff happen the 23rd.
Yeah, but isn't Max's the 22nd? Isn't that what we agreed upon? Or am I crazy?
You're a little crazy because
Well,
we're not.
Crazy?
We'll talk about it when we're
I
off
don't know.
camera.
I'll figure it out. Time.
But,
I don't know how time works.
but yeah, just-
Ah!
Keep an eye out on the socials. Keep an eye on the Discord. Perhaps consider joining the Discord. That's where you get all the juicy info. So, but until then, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your evening, and remember that the Suppression Bureau is here to protect you from the things that go bump in the night. So, have a good night.
Have a good night.
Boy.